Welcome to Unearthed, presented by Juice's Arthropods, a talk show where we interview invert influencers, bug breeders, and humble hobbyists to uncover the best answers to the questions they never thought they'd be asked. I'm Hot Doug, and tonight our special guest is Zach from Midwest Mantids, a well-known mantis breeder and TikTok/Instagram star. On tonight's episode, Juice and Zach will be debating the age-old question: which invert is the best pet? Mantids versus tarantulas. And now, let me introduce the Magister of Molting, the Sensei of Spiderlings, and our host of Unearthed, Juice.
Welcome, everybody. Great intro. Love the new titles that Hot Doug has presented. And welcome, Zach from Midwest Mantids. This is a debate and a battle that has been raging since like at least a couple weeks ago. So I'm really excited to have him on here. I'm really excited to see you guys here because, as you all know, the entire purpose of Unearthed is to learn a little bit more about our guests, to really dig in deeper and unearth what makes them tick. But today, we're going to do something a little bit differently. We're going to go head-to-head, mano-y-mano, to finally settle the once-and-all question that everybody's asked: which makes the best pet, a mantis or a tarantula? Back to you, Hot Doug.
All right, well, let's welcome Zach onto the show. Welcome, Zach.
Oh, thank you for having me. Been looking forward to it.
Zach, this has been a long time coming. I'm super excited to have you on the show. I feel like I need to address the elephant in the room first. You are, in fact, not 5 mantids in an overcoat. Is that correct?
I'm not. Yeah.
You are in fact a human being. I was very excited. That was something I didn't know for a while. How long have we known each other at this point?
It's almost been 2 years, probably.
It's been a minute, right? We have talked.
I'm not. My identity is like kept secret for.
You mean you don't like to just post your face all over the internet all of the time, like some idiots like myself do? Totally understand. Well, Zach has got an incredible menagerie of mantids all the time. I love to watch them eat, obviously, but I think this is the end of compliments I'm going to give him for a little bit. What I do want to know, though, is can you Hot Doug is my extreme bug novice. He's my co-host, but if you haven't noticed right now, he's got a particular outfit. Because Hot Doug, could you fill the audience in on what your role will be within this to stay neutral?
Absolutely. My job is to make sure we keep this a clean debate. Family friendly, and honestly, I think it's up to both of you. The burden of convincing me which is the better pet is probably the most valuable outcome of this debate, because actually I don't know which is the best one. I know very little about both, so I'm excited to learn a lot from both of you and ultimately decide at some point. The more I've gotten into the Juice's Arthropods burrow, or the more I've dug into this world, I'm gonna end up with one of these pretty soon, I think. And so let's see which way I get swayed.
And the best part about this, Zach, so just so you don't think that I've rigged the deck, Hot Doug is not a big fan of spiders. So like, I have a very high bar that I have to reach to convince him. But before we get into the debate, I want to address the fact we were originally going to have a sour challenge, and I was really sad that we couldn't do that. Zach, could you tell the audience real quick what your alternative idea was to that challenge?
Oh, the one that I presented to you?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just like the sour pickle?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mega Warhead Sour Pickle Challenge, but I guess Juice does not like pickles.
Really?
No. So Zach presented the only thing I could think of that would make me probably vomit on screen.
Wow.
He goes, dude, they got a Warhead Sour Pickle Challenge. I'm like, bro, I know. I like frothed up in the mouth thinking about just doing that. But who knows? Maybe you can convince me another time. But I loved it. I woke up because there's obviously a 2-hour time difference. So I woke up to that challenge and I started laughing. I was like, that is disgusting. Absolutely not. But I love that idea. Maybe you can convince me another time. I just have 5 basic questions, and then obviously we'll no longer be friends and we have to be against each other.
All right.
Can you tell the people watching right now that if they're not your fans and they're the fans who, the 5 of them that follow us, who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm Zach, and I keep mantises. Well, I used to keep geckos, poison dart frogs, and everything. And my son just found a mantis outside. He's like, "Hey, do you like keep these ever?" And I didn't really know that it was a thing. I kind of just knew at that time like that it was just this ones you just like see outside every day in like America. But I went online at that time, and I realized there was there's an extensive hobby with like exotic mantis at the time. And so one thing led to another. I knew how to keep other things, so I was like, well, if I've kept all those stuff, that invertebrates would be pretty easy to keep for me. So it just kind of just started from there. Right now, I just sell online sometimes when I have things, and then I just post videos on TikTok and Instagram, and that's what I do. So
You have a robust platform on TikTok. Could you remind us how many followers you have on TikTok? I know you have them on Instagram too, but you have a lot on TikTok, right?
I think it's around 154,000. Yeah.
So I guess what we're saying is Zach is bringing a lot more people who are going to be pro mantis than I'm bringing to the table with the pro tarantulas. So totally. And like, where can you just shout out your social medias? And then my question to you is, you're on Instagram and TikTok. First, shout them out, and then which do you prefer and why?
All right. First off, my handle on both TikTok and Instagram is just at Midwest Mantids. Um, TikTok was like the first one. Well, actually, I was trying harder on Instagram. Like I was just like posting. What I would do is I would just post like the same video on both platforms, and then just TikTok at that time. It was just like I've got daughters that are very old or like much older, so they were just like, yeah, TikTok's cool. And I'm like, I don't ever want to get into that. But like I just figured I might as well, and I just kind of throw them on there. And just one weekend, 2 videos that I like posted went like one went to like 12 million and one went to 10 million views like over the weekend. And I'm just like, all right, well, let me transition to TikTok a little bit. Because that generated some money. Instagram didn't as much, but it initially I like Instagram more still. I've slowed down posting on TikTok. It just became kind of a chore to redo the same video over and over of a mantis just eating something. Not to mention people are just like, hey, this is evil, you're feeding something too big or cute. Or then like they'd be like, hey, this is boring, you're feeding the same shit over and over.
Yeah.
So it just gets exhausting. So Instagram's my favorite. So.
It's funny to me because I've seen the comments that you receive from people about like, this is mean and like you're feeding a thing, but I feed stuff for tarantulas all the time and not a single peep out of anybody. It's just like, if I have a choice, I don't know which one I'd rather be eaten by, but actually probably tarantulas because at least they kill you first. But like, I'm still like, dude, it's still dying. Like it's not like any different, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you're taking the stance of mantids are the best pet versus tarantulas tonight. Obviously, there's lots of different arthropods out there, but our debate is not about all of the rest. It's just about mantids versus tarantulas, which is, by the way, a debate that is it's a very common debate that a lot of people want to have with me. So I'm very excited to have it with you. They always want to argue with me, which is fine. So my question to you is, what is your favorite mantis? And why?
All right. It's changed a few times, but I'd probably say the devil's flower mantid would be my favorite, the Idolomantis diabolica. Just because, like I said, when I started this, I kept a lot of geckos, and I would always go for the rare. Like even when people would be like, "Hey, that's not for the beginner," I'd be like, "I don't really care. I'd rather try it." And I was told right off the bat not to keep those, but it was my second mantis I tried. Like I don't care. most people don't know what they're talking about. So like I just wanted to do it, and I raised it to adulthood, which people said that like was near impossible. So I just like started out with that one. That's probably my favorite because when they get adult, which you don't see very often, they're real big, real pretty. They have a crazy threat display. Um,
I think
and
we've seen this, right? It's the one that you don't poke it, but you do. I think you're trying to feed
yeah,
it,
yeah,
and it
it's
flails up.
yeah, like it's one in a mesh enclosure. I do have a reel of it, and like yeah, like anytime I would approach it, like it would like stick its reptorals out and then like click and then kind of lunge forward. It was, I mean, a bit scary, but
When you say click, what do you mean?
it's doing something with its like wings or something. I didn't know it did that. So
Oh.
it just like caught me off guard. But like it just it's hard to describe without seeing it. But yeah, they're weird and they're
So there's
cute.
an audible sound that they actually make while they're thread posing.
Yeah, yeah,
That's incredible. I do love that mantis. It's their babies are so weird looking.
yeah. They
I don't think those things ever aren't weird looking. You know what I mean? They
no,
look like little aliens from start to
yeah,
finish.
yeah. They go through weird stages because yeah, they hatch black and then they immediately go kind of like just like dead colors, like just neutral colors like brown, and then like right at the end, that's when they gain color back, like at their adult molt, and they're real pretty. But yeah, they're always crazy looking.
They are very cool, and I will say I was very jealous of you when you had that because I have tried multiple times to grow them, and I have never succeeded.
Yeah,
And I think that it probably has to do with I was trying too hard. I think that's a lot of what it is.
that's what. Yeah, a lot of people, because a lot of girls in particular, kept orchid mantas because it's just like the thing to do. And I think a lot of people kill things with kindness,
Oh
basically.
yeah,
Yeah, because it's like it's just you do less. I mean, it's just a bug. So I mean, you just like do less, and then they they usually tend to last longer.
thrive. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it is true because I noticed a lot of people were asking about my vampire crabs. They're like, "How did you keep them and breed them?" And I was just like, "I didn't do anything after I
yeah,
established it.
yeah.
I left it alone." That's the common challenge. My before we get into the next couple questions, there was somebody was asking me about tarantulas, and they're like, I don't know if you have this with mantids, but people will come to you and then ask you questions about it, and then when you tell them like, don't have anxiety, just leave it be. They
Yeah.
don't like that. Like it's just like, dude, they've evolved like they're 450 million years of evolution. They do not need your help. And orchid mantis, they evolved before the orchid. So
Yeah.
like they're not they don't need you. Like you're
Yeah,
not.
yeah, it's like they don't need time out of their cave. Like it's like they're not enjoying being on a hand of a giant. Like it's just like leave it alone. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You're a giant volcano. You're hot and loud. They don't want you holding them. What is so you told me actually the last question we had was how'd you got into invertebrates, which you told us a little bit about. But like what is like a little known fact about you that you kind of wish somebody had asked?
just like overall, like in my whole life, or just like about inverts. Like,
You choose.
mm, hmm, I do competitive barbecue, so like,
Okay.
so not a lot of people know that.
Wow, that's cool. What's your go-to, or like what are you well known for?
Um, usually, I mean, we have to do the four different like pork ribs, brisket, chicken, and like pork butt. And brisket's usually the one that everybody sucks at, so that's the one that like I chose to try to like perfect. So when our team
Ah,
does it, like brisket's probably the one that. Yeah.
excellent.
That's actually really awesome.
That's
I
cool.
I Hot Dog, you're from the same area I am.
I am.
I feel like we have like two barbecue choices, and that's
Yeah, you guys don't have the barbecue like we do, yeah. For sure.
no,
Yeah,
we definitely don't. As somebody that came from the Midwest and then I came over here, there's two things that Californians cannot do. It's they don't do great at barbecue, and they cannot for the life of them make pizza, and I don't know why. Like it's just like they like it's the same thing as like the mantas and stuff. They just overcomplicate it and just like, dude, just do less. Stop trying. You don't need to put like criminy mushrooms and stuff. It's like, dude, just put freaking regular mushrooms.
But I gotta ask, as someone from the Midwest, what is your stance on skyline chili?
Ew. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't think I'd ever have it for like two reasons. Like, I'm a big Kansas City Chiefs fan,
Okay.
and since it like starts basically in Cincinnati, I hate the Bengals for one. So like,
Me too.
and that's a little thing. So like, I'd never try it. But like, it sounds like crap. But I mean, I do know. I mean, I've wanted to give it to like my brothers just as a joke because you can order it canned, but I don't
Oh, really?
think they handle that well. Yeah.
I didn't know it
Yeah.
came in can form.
Oh yeah. So
Which is
as
never,
somebody that lived in Ohio for 30 years, anytime I would tell anyone over in California that I lived in Ohio, there would be two questions. Did you live in a cornfield? And then the second one was about Skyline Chili. And I'm like, guys, I lived in a city. I lived in Northeast Ohio. It looks exactly like every other city you've ever seen. I don't know where you think I lived, but it wasn't a cornfield. All right. Well, it was a pleasure learning a little bit more about you, but now it's time for Juice to put on his mean, serious face here, and I'm going to hand it over to Hot Doug to describe
All
the
right.
rules as the referee.
Okay. Enough pleasantries. Let's get into the real meat of tonight's podcast. To decide which makes the best invertebrate pet, mantids or tarantulas. Gentlemen, before we begin, let me remind you of the rules of our debate. Rule number 1, all arguments are utilizing mantids or tarantulas as a whole, or laws of averages. You cannot use one species against the other one, but can use one species to help support an argument. Rule number 2, you have 2 minutes per side to make your case, and I will be utilizing each person's arguments and the audience opinions on who won each topic. I, as the moderator, will keep track of time for you both. 2 minutes per person. And rule number 3 is have fun. Audience participation is strongly encouraged, but let's keep it civil, everyone. We're trying to run a family operation here. All right. Do you both agree?
I
In
humbly
terms.
agree.
All
Yeah.
right. Excellent. Let's begin.
Perfect. So, debate topics. Zach, you can begin with care requirements. Example, housing and stuff they need. May your time begin now.
all right. Most mantid species like need. I mean, in most cases, they can even stay in like a 16 to 32 ounce deli cup size. A lot of them don't need substrate. They usually just need something mesh on the sides or on the top in order to molt. So they don't even require a lot of like plants or artificial anything inside of it. You can put them in like larger things like mesh cubes that are like 12 by 12 or like acrylic enclosures with mesh on the top. Um, they just don't require. I mean, you can like doll it up and give them like a lot more, but they don't require it. As long as you give them something to hang on, for the most part, they're pretty easy to keep. Um, and I mean, the temperatures, most species stay at like room temperature for the most part, give or take a little bit. So there's not usually much more heating required. Um, and like I said, the substrate is kept at a minimum, so you don't have to buy like any company's overpriced substrate they sell.
Ooh.
But yeah, that's about it with the care. They're pretty straightforward. So
Perfect.
All
What's
right,
our
that's
time?
47 seconds left. Any last words?
no, I don't need the less.
All right. Efficient. Juice. 2 minutes on the clock.
All right. Tarantulas. Care. Get a box, preferably an arthropods. Oh. Get an overpriced substrate, apparently, for Zach. Put a cork bark in there and leave them alone. That's literally all you need. The range from humidity is like 50%. I mean, like arid species might require like a 20 to 30%, but honestly, you can't kill them. They're 140 million years of evolution. Put some dirt, put a little thing to make them cover themselves, put it in a box, and they will be totally fine. Care is very simple. I would say the most you will spend on any enclosure would be $100. The least you could spend is like 12. It just depends on the size. Even the largest tarantulas, you can get them the biggest tank, like our large arboreal bliss. Yeah, that's right. That's 2 name drops of product. You could buy something like that if you want to, and then like a pokey would be perfect for that. However, you really don't need anything bigger than that. I know a lot of people that get like 40-gallon breeder enclosures, and it's just overage. It's for you. It's not for them at the end of the day. And I don't need any more time either.
Wow, you guys both hit basically the exact same amount of time, so congratulations. So it sounds to me like they both have pretty reasonably simplistic care requirements in terms of housing and stuff they need. That's which one, audience chat, I'm asking for your opinion. Which one do you think sounds easier? And while we're getting that from them, let's move on.
All right. So we'll put 2 minutes. You want to read it off to me there, Hot Doug, since I'm the moderator for this, or the beginning of this one?
You got it. This one is handleability.
Crap.
That's what it says.
Okay.
All right. And you're going first? All right.
Time? All right.
Yeah.
Handleability. You can hold tarantulas.
Oh.
Okay. We're using an average here, which is really going to work against me. There are a lot of species. Anything New World you could hold. Anything arboreal New World, with the exception of Salmopoeus, you can definitely hold. You have some, such as Carabina versicolor. There won't be any issues. The difference between the two, from my stance, is that a mantis doesn't have the ability to attack you, whereas a tarantula does. So you just have to be a little bit more careful. Now, one thing to note about tarantulas is that they have independent thought per individual. So one that you could hold today and you've held for 10 years could suddenly tomorrow have just a change of mood and you can't hold it. So I will give Zach this one. In terms of handleability, he's going to win on this one just because ultimately they're not as handleable. I've never had to worry about a mantis attack me. However, I have been bitten and attacked before. However, you just don't have to worry about an emergency room visit for any particular species. But as far as can you handle them? Absolutely. There's tons. Like T. Celedonia, you could hold that thing for days. You're not going to have any issues with that. It just depends on the species in particular. But no, handleability is fine. Just maybe don't hold any of the old worlds and you'll be okay.
I mean, first off, there's like, you don't have to worry about like New World or Old World for like mantids. I mean, they all can be handled. Do I handle them? No, but I mean, for kids, for example, or people that are a little like more iffy trying to hold an invertebrate, I mean, they're probably more apt to hold a mantis too than like a creepy ass tarantula. I mean, I know some people that have kept tarantulas all their lives, like you were saying, and then one day they'll crawl up the back of their neck into their hair and then bite them. So I've never heard anything like that with a mantis. And it's just overall, I mean, it's just not as, it's just easy. Yeah, you can be pinched by them, but yeah, there will be no like emergency services required. I mean, the only thing that I could think of downsides would be that they are sometimes a little bit more delicate, like small, and like possibly be squished a lot easier than a tarantula. But I mean, I don't know. But I know they don't have fangs, and that's all I really care about. So I think there's not much more to be said about the handleability between the two.
That's a great point. I guess there's no such thing as a medically significant mantid bite, right?
No.
Nope.
In terms of eating, what are they doing there? Are they just tearing them apart? Do they have any kind of enzymes? Like what's the mantid?
All they're doing is just tearing them apart with their little like weird mouths. Yeah, they're just yeah.
It's pretty metal.
Yeah,
It's metal as hell.
Yeah, they're not like putting anything in them or anything, but like they're
Wow.
just ripping them apart. So.
Okay. We do have an audience question. Do they care about lighting? And I think doesn't say mantids or tarantulas. I'm assuming we're asking mantids.
They don't. I have lights on a lot of my enclosures, but like some people have suggested that like sometimes it'll like increase the color of like, for example, like ghost mantids. That some people are always looking for like green ones. They think that UV light can affect that. I don't believe that, nor have I seen it in my area. Sometimes my shelves do have light, and sometimes they don't, and I've never seen anything suggest that the ones under light are doing better than the others. probably some of the species that have to be kept in like more bioactive enclosures, like those Coriodotus, like the cobra mantis. They like having like broad-leaved plants in their enclosures, so thus you'd probably want plants in that scenario, which would need light.
Hmm.
But I don't think the mantis in general needs it.
Huh. That's good to know. I mean, I guess tarantulas too, similarly, don't need a lot of light, right, Juice? Or
No, most of them are nocturnal, so they actually prefer you don't put light. Their vision's also crap, so like they really aren't going to benefit from having like high bright lights. That's why you can put a lot of LEDs on them, and it won't.
oh,
It really won't affect them because they don't care. They live most of them will live most of their lives in like a hole in the ground, so they didn't evolve really to be like eyesight hunters like some true spiders.
can arthropods in general be sunburned?
Yes, but not in the way you're thinking. They can have UV damage from the radiation, but like most of what you're worried about isn't. It's not that. It's the they get desiccated, so they get like they literally just die because they're shriveling up because they don't have enough water. So that's the bigger problem that you have. So, but yeah, there are bad UV, kind of like us. Everything can that's living, but but no. Ultimately, the problem you have to worry about is them burning to a crisp.
All right. So going back to the first one, care requirements, the audience is a little split here, I gotta say. One, we have Hippie Exotics on Instagram says, as an owner of both, mantid enclosures give me anxiety to make, whereas tarantula enclosures do not.
No. Yeah, okay.
That's what, that's the take we got so far. And let's see, we're checking on YouTube. Yeah. All right. Okay. Chat, handleability. Where do you stand? Do you think it's easier to handle a mantid? Do you think it's easier to handle a tarantula?
If they say tarantula, they're just doing it to be nice to me. They're just giving me one. Like, it's fine. But, you know.
Yeah.
I've never had a mantis attack my paintbrush when I tried to hold them. So I'm just saying.
All right, let's move to the next debate topic, which is feeding difficulty. And Zach, I think you have the first swing at it. I'll start the timer for you.
All right. This one I might concede, but let me see if I can have any points worth noting. I do know a lot of mantids do have issues feeding. I personally don't. A lot of people try to hand feed them or tongue feed them, and I think when you just kind of like let the prey in their enclosure, they handle it themselves. So, from my perspective, they actually like I don't have many species that do have an issue feeding. There are some that only require like flying prey, so that makes it a little bit harder to corral the feeders when you're doing so. But other than that, it's usually straightforward. You have to feed them probably 3 times a week, or just kind of like watch their abdomen. How like if it gets like flat, it's time to eat, and if it's fat, you don't feed them. So you don't have to feed them too often. But I do know that some are a little bit more delicate with what they'll eat. For example, yeah, I'm just gonna talk myself into a hole on this one. I mean, you shouldn't really feed them crickets in the most like a lot of. Sometimes crickets have an adverse effect on praying mantis, and I do not believe that's a problem with tarantulas. So I should probably just stop talking because I'm not points. So yeah, I'm done, I guess. Yeah.
All right. Juice. Feeding difficulty.
I'm going to address some of the topics he had to begin with.
Okay.
No, it doesn't matter if you feed them crickets because they melt their prey down. so anything that was inside them is also probably dead. I mean, there are some foodborne illnesses with anything, right? So I won't give him the horseworm treatment. But I will say that the only feeding issues you'd ever have, I spend $8 a year for a tarantula. That's how much it costs. $8 per year, and that's me paying overpriced retail prices. So in terms of cost, it's nothing. In terms of feeding, you have two options. It either eats it or it doesn't. And a tarantula specifically, most of them can go about a year before they need to eat if they really had to. Like there have been people that have had like like a year and a half, they found their tarantula and it was eating stuff in the house, but it wasn't being fed regularly, right? So like they can go long periods. I've had some that bury themselves off and go 6 months before they come back up. So yeah, you really can't. In terms of like ease of feeding, this is the easiest. Like the reason I really got into tarantulas is that like, dude, they're I can feed 1,700 of them off of $90 a week. That's it. I feed slings twice a week. I feed adults once a week, and that's only if they're not engorged. And if they are, I just don't feed them for another 2 or 3 weeks. So it's probably the easiest thing you could ever pay. 15 cents a week is all it costs to feed these things.
All right, you want that one?
It's like an infomercial.
Yeah.
For only 15 cents a week, your spider
Yeah, exactly.
can live the life it always wanted to.
Zach got handleability. It's just, it wasn't designed this way, but yeah, sorry, bro. Mantids need a lot more food.
Interesting. Yeah. Chat, we've got a couple of chat shout outs that Monica says, I don't like handling tarantulas, but my daughter has been bitten by her mantis. So, you know, I don't know. Is a mantis bite pretty bad?
I mean, you have to sit there and let it chew on you, though. So there's a point where you need to have a reaction. So,
Yeah. It's still, I have to agree. At least it's not medically significant ever.
Yeah, I'll concede his point because, like, in fact, I've never been bitten by a tarantula. Knock on wood.
Wow.
But I have been bitten by a damn gigantic mantis, and it like not only grabbed me with its giant awfulness, it did proceed to chew into my finger, and their bites are worse than you imagine them to be. So I was like, oh, but you know, I got like 2 little pieces of blood that like show up on your skin, and otherwise you're fine. Huh. Whereas if I got bit by a tarantula, it'd be a whole different ballgame.
All right. Shall we move on? Cost of animal itself. And Juice, you are the first. You get the first strike.
Okay. I have Gramistola pulchripes that cost $35 on Juice's arthropods. But then I have an $800 Gramistola pulchra. So, sorry for chewing a mint. That's my bad. I will say that the range, you can get a curly hair for $6. Like you can have a massive range. On average, these things are going to cost you no more than like $35. There are rare species though that are going to cost you a significant amount. I would say true spiders actually cost more than any tarantula would. Now, if you are afraid of buying slings, yeah, everything's going to cost a lot. But if you buy slings, I don't think I've ever paid more for a sling than like $65, like tops. So in terms of cost and affordability of the creature itself, you're not going to pay much, like at all. I will say there are some that are quite expensive. Like I've seen some that I was looking at that were like $340. But when you're paying that much for a tarantula, they're very rare. And what I mean by that is like you might be one of 5 people in the entire country that has them at that point. On average, I would say all the New World terrestrials, you're going to pay anywhere from like $6 to like $35. And then, you know, your cost of everything else is pretty cheap too. So, but no, I mean, it's a vast range there, but it's a pretty affordable pet all around. And it's because they lay a ton of babies. So like a lot of times dealer or breeders like myself, we're just trying to get rid of a bunch of them too. And also the last thing I'll say about it is at expos, you can buy a tarantula and oftentimes they will actually give you freebies because they have so many extra tarantulas. So overall, I would say quite an affordable pet.
All right. Zach, tell us about the cost of animals, mantids itself.
I mean, mantids, like at the highest end of any rare species, you're never going to go over $45 or $50 unless you're on a certain person's website. But that like overprices everything. But there's most of them are like anywhere from like $5 to $15. So even with the like rarest species, you're never going to go over $50. Now, when you get into like Unearthed territory, when you're like buying the Unearths, you can get into that, but like you're going to get multiple nymphs out of it. So like the cost, I mean, even the rarest of ones never top $50. So I would say the pricing is like very, very reasonable and like a lot cheaper overall than tarantulas. So yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, tarantulas seem a little pricier to me.
They are.
Um,
I think, especially if we're talking averages. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I
I gotta move because my freaking MacBook truck is dying. Just like,
no, no worries.
um yeah, I'll probably have to concede to Midwest, but I want people's thoughts because now this is another thing to consider here. I know both of our points have been done, but something to consider for both of us.
It's okay.
Regionality matters.
Tell me
Because
more.
what I'm going to pay for something is going to be a lot more than what he's going to pay for something in Kansas. So keep that in mind.
I see. I see. All right. Next up, so chat, tell us what you think. Cost of animal itself. Which one seems like it won to you? And let's see. Next up, we've got daily expenses, aka cost to keep the animal alive. And Zach, you get to go first.
I mean, we already talked about feeders, so I don't know what. But the cost day to day. I mean, other than once you have like the enclosure set up and everything, there's not much. Like you just have to mist them and then feed them every couple days. So once you have them, the cost is pretty minimal. I mean, you're only buying the feeders, which we already kind of touched on. But um, I mean, like feeders, for example, like flies, you can get like the pupa and everything for like $15 for like thousands of pupa. And then like also you can have your own colonies going where it doesn't cost you anything. But I mean, other than feeding and misting, that's all you got to do with them. So I mean, there's not really a lot of upkeep day to day. So they're pretty cheap other than the feeders.
All right. Juice, what do you think? Daily expenses for tarantulas.
So let's say I pay $15 for Juice's Royal Soil, and then I buy. Let's talk about a sling, because most of the people coming to me, they're buying a sling, and so let's talk about the daily expenses of that. So let's say on average you're going to pay like for Toledo Cuddle Vegans, which we have, also online. What if this is just one giant promotion? So like you're talking like $15, $25, somewhere around there for the sling, depending on size, and then you're gonna pay $15 for soil, and our cork bark's like $6 to $20. So you're probably like $50 in with everything, and then the cage is gonna be the largest cage, 100 to 150. But after that, you're gonna pay 30 cents a week. So like all in, you might pay like $10 a month for the entire thing. So it's really, and to like the same with like mantids, like they're comfortable if you're comfortable. So like unless you live in like a horrible like landscape that's always like 28 degrees and your house is built in 1925 and it's like drafty, you're not going to have to pay for any external lighting or anything like that. So cost of living is really just in the feeders themselves. And yeah, I mean, I'm being like really extravagant with costs too. You know what I mean? Like you could technically, when you're doing a sling, you can buy like an $11 cage, and then like the soil, you're gonna, like those bags of soil that I have. Like I filled an entire arboreal large with like the 3 or 4 inches of soil, with like a quarter of the bag. So it's like you're really just kind of sitting on the soil for a while. So you're gonna have probably 3 or 4 cages you can use with a lot of those supplies. The cage is going to ultimately be the most expensive part for you. Other than that, it's going to be daily costs or nothing.
Interesting. So, Chad has some opinions on this one.
Okay.
So, Digital Arthropods on Instagram is telling us tarantula rarity is cooler. So it depends if you're cheap or want to pay for rarity. Interesting point on the cost of the animal itself, and I guess daily expenses too. We're also getting from Arizona Mantids, mantises don't require as large of an enclosure as some tarantulas, so I think in that way they are cheaper. Good point. The Bug Life Shows Me says, I don't really pay for feeding my mantids because I breed my own feeders. That's a great life hack right there. And Arizona Mantids, again, but mantises require much more care than any of my tarantulas, slings, or older. Interesting.
Ooh.
Why would that be?
Ooh.
Arizona Mantids, if you're out there, Tell us more about that.
Ooh, we have mantis people joining the other side. It's like the dark side, the Sith over here.
I know.
Oh, man.
Monica says on YouTube, I think the cheapest mantis I've gotten was like $15, but I've also gotten tarantulas as a freebie with a purchase. So you can get lucky.
Probably because they suck. And they're just
Yeah, it's one of those floor model tarantulas.
Yeah. It's don't tell anybody this, but it's because I have 900 of them.
Yeah.
That's why I need to get rid of some. It sucks feeding all of them.
All right. Next we got longevity of life. How long they gonna live? And Juice, that's to you.
Zach, you want to just give up on this one because
I mean, I have a different spin on this, so I'll let you go. And I think
okay.
I might be able to hide on this one. So yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go pros and cons in this one because that's how my videos typically are. If you are okay with a 10 to 25 to sometimes 30-year commitment, you're going to always want to do tarantulas. The shortest lived tarantula I can think of is 5 years, like 3 to 5 years. Now, males will live like 3 to 4 years depending on the species, but at the end of the day, like I like males because one, they produce, they breed. That's why. But also they go out and they're more active and you see them more. They got a lot more personality. They're less grumpy with the exception of my goofy legs Howard. So, I mean, really the shortest lived tarantula is going to be that 3 to 4 years, and that's only once they actually hook out and they're males. And then I think like the Seriocosmus, a couple of them only live, like the dwarf species might only live 3 to 4 years. On average, though, you're going to have 10 to 15 years if I'm being on the average. But then you have like a Phonopelmas and you have Grammostola pulchripes that these guys can live like 20 plus years. So like you definitely are going to have a significant amount of time. You are going to have them, if you give them to your kid who was 5 or 6, they're going to have the species well into their adulthood at the end of the day, which is where I also like to warn people about as well, because, this is like a cat. Like, it sounds like a great pet for a kid, and then you realize, like, you're the one that ultimately has to take care of it. So, like, know what you're getting yourself into before you buy it. And that's where I'll say about that.
All right. Zach, your rebuttal.
All right. That's kind of my point. Like, okay, so like if you're wanting to keep a pet that's actually going to like, you can either literally like pass it from your kid to the next generation. I think you'd like go the route of something cool, like a parrot or a tortoise or like anything other than a spider. I think when you're like going the route of like keeping insects, I don't want it to stick around like a dog. Like, I mean, and like, I don't want my kid to have to watch it from age 5 till 50. Like, and it's just like, and also, I mean, with them lasting less time, you can try out more species because they're just going to kick the bucket early. So, like, you're stuck with these, like, dirt piles where you only see the tarantula 5 times in 5 years. And, like, the mantis, you see it all the time. It might only last a year, but you get to pick out a new one. And if Juice's arthropods had them online, you'd make more sales with mantis because they'd be dying quicker. But you can't keep them alive, so...
I was gonna say I can't even keep them alive to sell them.
They're going fast.
I'm just saying. I think the age. I mean, you get to like turn and burn quicker. So basically, cut your ties. So that's what I'm going with.
I think I'm the only breeder on the planet that fucking lost more money than he made on mantids. Like everyone else is selling L2s. I'm over there like, I'm going to breed them up until it's a reasonable age. And then they all die. I'm like, damn it. Solid point.
Yeah, it's a solid point. Chat on Instagram, the Bug Life Chose Me, says, yikes, too long a commitment for a tarantula. I like mantids shorter lifespans because then I don't get too emotionally attached. Great point. And Hippie Exotics on Instagram says, I prefer the shorter lifespans of mantids because you can keep buying more without ending up with 5,200 of them. Great point. You can always just buy more spiders. I mean,
yeah, look, you could look at how many tarantulas. There is 75 tarantulas behind me right now. So, like, it just in this shot, like right here, that's all you see.
It's true. It's true. Digital Arthropods on Instagram says, tarantulas, your bond and relationship with your tarantulas are more special. And so that's kind of a pro and a con, I think, right there. So Interesting point.
That is true. It's like we inadvertently just hijacked people's emotions a second ago. Like we just had like
We did.
exactly the kind of personality that the people were. like, do I like to bond for 40 years or do I want something to die in 6 months?
This to me feels like a pivotal, like
Yeah.
pet question. Is
Yeah.
like how long of a commitment, and they both provide kind of the extremes. So
Yeah.
excellent. Let's see. Moving on to the next question. Here's a word I don't know how to say.
Fecundity.
Fecundity. Or volume of babies. Now, this one, Zach, you get the first shot.
Volume of babies. Okay.
Volume of babies.
All right. I mean, because like this does like vary species to species like quite dramatically. So I mean, some species, especially the rare ones, have like not very many. Like they can have like 6 to 12. But like some of the more common kept like beginner species, they can have in the hundreds. Um, there are a lot of deaths before like the first molt, but there's usually like, so I mean, I guess we could take like an average. There's probably like 35 to 50 per ooth, and then they'll lay probably like anywhere from 6 to 10 ooths before they die, each female. So I mean, you can end up with quite a few. But yeah, there is a big varying. Like I mean, some species don't produce as much, so you can end up with 6, 12 to like 100. But then like because of them laying like every like 2 weeks, you end up with more at the end. So
Hmm.
but yeah, so yeah, you can end up hundreds. I mean, there's times when I have thousands of babies at a time.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm also unsure what tarantulas, how many times they lay egg sacs and shit. So I don't know.
Digital Arthropods on Instagram asks, do they always die when they lay? Mantids, I think.
No, no, they don't. Yeah, they'll lay. They'll lay. I mean, it's species dependent, but I mean, they can lay probably like 6 to 8 ooths on average, probably per female.
All right. Awesome. All right. That's mantids. Juice, you want to dive into tarantulas?
Okay. I will say one disclaimer before I discuss this. Well, I mean, timers obviously keep going. You have to like actively be breeding tarantulas. Like I don't know about mantids. I don't see too many wild caught mantids out there, so I don't think you have to worry about that. So like I would say like both mantids and tarantulas are going to be in the same ballpark where it's like I know a lot of people that buy like wild caught jumping spiders because they're like, oh, it's a great deal. And the next thing they know, they got like 50 freaking egg sacs worth of like 50 babies. So with tarantulas, they're only going to lay. They can double sack out, but they only normally do one egg sac per breeding, like pair, and then they can continue. So every time you do it, I personally don't like to pair my females too many times, just because it's just like, hey, you've done a couple, time to let you retire and live a life of just eating happy and bugs and all that stuff. I've had. On the low end, I had 117. That was with my OBTs, and that was a small sack. And then I just had curly hairs that had 541. So like you can have a lot. It just really depends. From a breeder perspective, I will say though that as somebody that's bred mantids and somebody that's bred, tarantulas, I would prefer to breed tarantulas because the survivability of the egg sac is way higher. I think let's just use my grandma stole poultry peas, which I'm still selling at this point. There was so many of them. We had 325, I think it was. No, it was 185 babies, and of 185 babies, we had one casualty. So, and those were born in August. So like the survivability of the babies and the sheer volume of babies, you're going to really get the best bang for your buck when it comes to that. Now, to Zach's point, I know mantids you can pair like once and they can have like multiples, but I'll obviously hand it over to Zach on if this is correct or not. My understanding is that with each ooth, there's less babies within it.
Out of time. Look at that. We got to respect the rules.
Got to respect the rules. I know. You're right.
Overtime.
You're right.
You tried. All right. So on the list here, it says, how often do you need to feed them? But I feel like we actually answered that question.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump ahead to number 9, which is cute or cool factor, which I don't exactly know what this means. So, Juice, maybe you're going to have to set this one up and go first, I guess.
Okay. So the question is cute or cool factor, which is cooler, which is cute, or all of those things. I am going to take the stance of cool. And I personally think that tarantulas are very cute, but that is, I understand, a very unpopular opinion. However, I can honestly say that a T. Celadonia, or Brazilian jewel, is the cutest spider you will ever see on the planet. And those are tarantulas. I can say definitively that there are lots of beautiful tarantulas. You have things like, Poecilotheria metallicas. Those are so cool. You got Venezuelan sun tigers, black and orange stripes, and just awesome. Like, you got some crazy variations of colors. Each different tarantula brings to just a different varying level of cool. OBTs, pretty dope. I mean, yeah, maybe you don't like a spider that wants to eat you, but at the same time, you cannot deny how cool it is when you see those videos of that thing threat posing. I think in terms of coolness, tarantulas by far take the cake from variation of color, from just how they eat. I mean, dude, they bite the thing, they insert their fangs, and then they liquefy them and chew them the whole time. They do a happy dance after they do it. It's just adorable. They don't pull an insect apart and devour them while it's still alive for 20 minutes. So, boom, mic drop on that one.
Zach, what do you think?
All right. I think mantids, like, at different times, are like cute and cool. Like, pretty much every mantis, when they hatch, they go through like a cute phase. They all like have big old buggy eyes, and they're just kind of like big old antennas, just walking around, just being little idiots. But but like, I don't see a tarantula is ever cute. But then, like, the cool factor, I mean, the fact is they have like multiple variations of colors, like all across the globe. But also, other than just colors, they're just built different. Like, some of them have camouflage, like where they actually have like appendages on them to like look like dead leaves. Some of them look like moss. Some of them, like, just like anatomically, they're just like totally different. Like, from species to species, they're not just all just like. I mean, some look like twigs. Some have multiple colors. Some just like, and it's just like they just have different ways to stalk predators. Like, some just sit there and ambush. Their threat displays are really cool. That's usually when you see most of their colors, and I don't know, but I mean, I personally think that, like, when they ripping like bugs limb to limb, like alive, is like really cool, and so does my TikTok. So,
Ooh.
I mean,
Damn.
I mean, maybe that's not like for everybody. Well, I know it's not for everybody by some comments, but like, I think that's pretty cool. Them eating something alive as opposed to like just taking the weak way out and just venomizing it so they can't move. But yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they overpower him first, but you're right.
Well, yeah, a super cute thing to do.
Yeah, they are stronger than them. Like, don't get me wrong. Like,
Ooh, digital arthropods in Instagram making a good point. I think tarantulas are cooler and cuter. Cooler colors and takedowns and cooler enclosures. Also, they own cute factor carrying dirt, pruning its feet when they defend their water bowls. They also play with ping pong balls. That's something that's pretty cute, actually. And they do a little booty dance, etc.
I do like
very
the booty
true.
dance.
Hippie Exotics on Instagram says tarantulas cuter because of the hair, mantids cooler. And honestly, I think I agree. I mean, they have some pretty cool camouflage options in the mantids world. Flying Papaya in YouTube says it was very cute watching Melvin the mantis slurp up a dubia roach leg like a piece of spaghetti. That's pretty dope.
That is pretty dope.
Yeah, when I think of mantid, the first words that come to my mind are cool because, I mean, tearing things apart, pretty cool. Not exactly cute. All right, next up we have danger to humans, and Zach, we'll let you go first for this one.
Danger to humans. I mean, they are zero danger to humans. I mean, yeah, they'll bite you and nibble on you and like pinch you sometimes, but I mean, overall, they're not dangerous.
not
I mean,
dangerous.
yeah. I mean, you can easily, if the time arose where they're so powerful that they're dangerous, you can just freaking smash them. So they're pretty weak overall compared to a human. So, but
True.
yeah, there's not much danger involved in them really. So I don't. I mean, there's not more to expound on the danger of a mantis. So I mean, we could just hand it over to
That's
Juice.
a great point. Juice, what do you think? Danger.
Okay, I'll preface this. There's no danger to humans in terms of death. There is. Yeah, you'll feel a lot of pain. Like the worst case scenario in a bite report I've seen is there was hospitalization, heart palpitations, things like that. But like also like it's not necessarily because of the creature, it's how you react to the venom. Like you can get stung by a bee and die, you know what I mean? Like you can get stung by anything. It's the envenomation that ultimately causes it. So it's not them, it's you. It's how you ultimately react to it. You know, there is obviously medically significant tarantulas, but Bacillitherium ornata is the fourth most bitten reports on the planet. It's also like the third most venomous tarantula on the planet. And not a single person has died from them. The only tarantula bite I've ever seen, and it didn't result in a death, but there was 2 cases on the planet where people did die after the fact, and neither time was it because of the bite. It was because of the poor care from the person in the bite wound. So one person died because of gangrene, because they lived in the jungle, and this was probably in 1980s. And then the other person died because they were there was some other facet. They were a diabetic or some heart condition or something like that. And again, these were like months later, and they just attributed it. So that's the other problem, is it's very difficult to say like actual damage to a human, because people lie and claim they were bit by tarantulas all the time. I mean, we got tons of people that think they were bit by brown recluse when they're only in 10 states. So it's very difficult to say. But in terms of danger, just when they threat pose you, don't screw with them and don't try to hand them bugs and you'll be fine. I mean, I have 1,400 tarantulas that have never been bit once. So, it's just a matter of common sense to a certain capacity.
All right. Well, digital arthropods on Instagram. Mantids, unfortunately, tarantula keepers with kids, small pets maybe have to be cautious, and probably don't have to be with mantids. Easier for kids.
That's fair.
Handsome blind guy says on Instagram, all tarantula deaths were attributed to COVID.
I mean, honest, I did a CDC report at one point, and I talked to them, and they were like, "We don't have any reports of deaths of any kind." Because of sometimes not. Well, actually, sorry, I can't keep talking about it because my 2 minutes is up. Sorry, yep. I'll expound later.
All right, our last topic. Hardiness. Juice, you have the floor.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hardiness, where I can make up for danger. You really have to mess up. Like with tarantulas, me and Zach earlier were talking about sometimes you just have to leave things alone. And that's exactly the case with tarantulas. Like, you're talking about a species, or rather, you're talking about a genera that can literally hide in a soil mound for like 8 to 9 months, not come out looking emaciated, eat one meal, and they're totally fine for another 3 or 4. They are the hardiest creature on the planet. You have species that live in the most horrible deserts on Earth, places that even human beings don't live. You still have, tarantulas out there. They don't. You've got arid species that you can leave a water bowl, but why? They're not going to drink the water for like maybe once every 3 months or something. They're going to eat very rarely. I mean, there's some of the hardiest creatures on the planet are tarantulas. 140 million years was the last time they actually evolved. They don't need to. They don't have brains, and they're basically a central nervous system running around just tackling food. They are human. Like, there's a reason Spider-Man was a spider. You know what I mean? Like, they are stupid strong. They are just insanely hardy. They can have legs removed and they grow them back the next molt. They are. I will tell you this. I've never heard of a tarantula getting a bacterial infection and dying, so that's a thing. You don't have to worry about horsehair worms. You don't have to worry about humidity issues. You got a 40% humidity variation in most species before you even have to worry about it. You are talking about the Terminator of arthropods. They are crazy hard to kill. That is my time.
All right. Zach, rebuttal.
I mean, first off, Spider-Man is the worst superhero of all time. But, let's move on. Anyway, I don't have one really. I mean, that's mantids are more delicate than a tarantula, so I'm not even gonna try to like blow smoke up anybody's ass on this one. But I mean, they're a lot easier than what Juice makes them be like. I mean, they're not as hard as he makes it seem. But I mean, yeah, they're. I don't know. I don't have this one at all. So there's not even a point in me wasting any more time.
Yeah.
I'll give you ghost mantids though, man. Those things are hardy as hell. Like, you have to really screw up with those guys.
I mean, I'd say there's no mantis man.
Oh damn, that's true. Not even cool enough for a superhero.
All right, we got to the end of all of the possible debate topics. Now, audience, have you been swayed? In your opinion, which is the best invert pet? Hippie Exotic says Mantis Man is Zach.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point.
He is Mantis Man. Yeah, exactly.
That's a really good point. We're going to call it DC, or like we need to get one of the other alternative marbles.
Yeah, the alternative Marvel. Yeah, you have to get DC because Marvel doesn't want to buy it.
Yeah.
What do they have, Beetle Man or something
They have,
like that?
Something Beetle Boy or something.
Yeah, Beetle Boy or something. I do love ghost mantids. I do love mantids in general. It's funny to do this kind of debate because I really love all arthropods. I just don't want to take care of them. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Zach, let's trade. You trade me a mantis, and I'll give you a T Sturmy.
All right. I'll give it a go.
I can't wait till this thing is 18 inches across, and he's like, "What the hell did you give me? This thing is the size of a child."
I don't know. In my opinion, this is a tough one. Like, if I were thinking about like what invert pet I would get my daughter, I feel like I don't know. I'm feeling like I'm leaning mantids, honestly. Leaning mantids. I like the disposability factor, to be honest.
Yeah.
Never gonna kill anything or hurt anyone. I mean, it won't kill a human, but like it won't hurt her. It won't throw hairs at her. You know, it's a little more expensive.
Just
I
a
guess.
little hair. Just a
A
little
little
hair.
more expensive. Yeah. I don't know. Personally, I might go mantid for her first invert. I think after the debate, I know it's sacrilege, and I'm supposed to be repping Juice's arthropods, but I want everyone to know this is how objective Hot Dog is willing to be.
He's wearing a referee outfit. You have to be.
I have to be
know?
objective, and I think, in my opinion, Mantids won the debate. That's where
Damn.
I'm at.
What did the
Juice.
Audience think? What did the audience?
What do you think? Who do you think is the best invert pet? And actually, we missed an opportunity to say like best invert pet for what context? Like your first invert pet, you're an expert. It really could be either way.
That's a good point. It's hard for me too because I feel like Zach made a lot of really good points, but I am not the kind of person that he is or Bug's Life chose me. Someone asked me one time, they're like, "Is it sad when things die?" And I was like, "Yeah, it crushes me every time." And this is what I do for like, my business. Like it sucks. It's an emotional toll. And every time a mantis would die every 9 months, I was sad as hell. So
Yeah.
that's why I like pets to live 100 years.
Yeah, tarantulas are more like wine. This is the thing I say a lot.
Yeah,
they kind of age.
That's
They get
true.
more expensive.
Well, actually, that's a good question. Zach, I don't think they do. Do mantids get more expensive as they get older?
A little bit, but like they're usually not offered as much when they're like older. Usually the breeders keep them. I mean, sometimes we like collab with other ones, like and send each other ones. So, but like, I mean, they will a little bit. I mean, yeah.
That makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah, because I know that you can charge quite a bit. I mean, when you got a pet that lives 15 years, like I have a grandma stole Polkerpies that laid all the slings I have, and she was 9 years old when I got her. Like she's, that's nothing for her, but like that's an old invertebrate. Like you have very few arthropods on the planet that can live that long, and still be breeding age at the end of the day, right? So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the audience is split. Hippie Exotic says Team Mantulas. Both. I like that.
That's a
Tarantulas.
cop out, hippies. Come on, you're just trying to feel She doesn't want to upset me or Zach. That's all that one is.
Oh, we got an audience question about mantids. How long can a mantis go without water or food?
I mean, water is a lot more important. You really need to mist them I mean, it depends on, I guess, your relative humidity, like where you're at. But they need to be misted like at least every other day. Some of the more temperate species like every day. So, but food, they can go probably. I've gone on trips where they haven't eaten in like 4 5 days and they're fine. So around there.
That's still pretty short because I think a tarantula can go for a lot longer, right, Juice?
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, sure. They got to eat a lot. They got a lot of praying to do.
I got a grandma stole a poker that I haven't fed in like 4 weeks because he just refuses to like lose weight, and I'm like, no, dude, you're gonna pop like a grape if I fucking feed you.
All right. Well, this was a good debate. I learned a ton. I hope the audience did too. And thanks everyone for all the engagement. We're a little over time. I want to respect everyone's time. So we're on our outro. Zach, do you want to plug anything? What's hot in the mantis world? What are you selling? What are your social medias one more time for the audience that just joined?
I mean, the selling's kind of been down a little bit, but so I'll just share my social medias. I mean, on Instagram, it's just at Midwest Mantids, and then TikTok at Midwest Mantids. So that's it. But thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Juice, anything? What's hot in the juicesarthropods.com world?
Oh man, we have a brand new revamped website. You can see, Unearthed. We're going to have the podcast come out with Zach. We're going to have the live on YouTube. We're going to be, that's that. The whole event calendar is like locked in. We got a lot of really great guests. I plan on having a lot more, which is awesome. For things that are selling right now, I got OBT slings. I got Grandma Stole a Poker Piece slings. I've got curly hairs coming. I got Salmopoeus armenia coming. And most importantly, we got the arthropods. We got arboreal bliss. We got terrestrial terrain and fossorial fissure. And we have a total restock of our 2.1 cages coming out. What do we think of June 25th-ish? I think June. Let's say end of June.
July.
We don't know. Contract manufacturers are hard, guys. They give you timelines and you never know. So the end of June, we have a full restock, especially of our large ones. We got Royal Soil. We switched the name of them. We got Royal Soil. We have Cork Bark online right now. We got all kinds of stuff. And this is only the beginning. So please make sure that you continue to follow us. We appreciate your guys' support. The goal is ultimately to have that one-stop shop for all your arthropod needs, except for mantids. Go to Zach for that. I don't want to deal with that crap. We will be posting this and a poll up, so please, guys, go up there and let us know. I want to see it. Me and Zach are both going to put up a poll for us. Who do you think won the debate tonight? I'm going to put it on YouTube as well. I don't know. Let's see who's Team Juice and who's Team Zach and Midwest Mantids at the end of the day. But otherwise, we appreciate all of you. We love all of your questions, so always hit us up, and we look forward to the next Unearthed.
The next Unearthed will be... Who's our next guest, actually, Juice?
Ooh, it's Victor from Vexotic. Ooh. I love that guy. That dude is crazy, and it's fantastic.
Awesome. And when is that?
Yes, I totally know that right off the... It's the...
Let me pull up juicesarthropods.com real quick.
Damn it, Hot Doug.
April 13th, we'll be here live on Instagram and YouTube. So please join us, and we'll be talking with Victor. And that's the show. Thanks, everyone, for coming. I'm going to play us out with Hot Dog in the Bun's latest single, Arthropods. It's a great song. If you haven't heard it, stick around, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks, guys.
Unpacked my cage last night, delight. $20 from ATM. Man, I'm glad I hit buy on the sweet bug pen. Filled up with dirt and mulch, added a light. Not running out of space. such a priceless find. And I think it's gonna last a long, long time. Just can't believe this thing is built so fine. It's not that garbage that you found online. Oh, no, no, no. It's an arthropod. Arthropods give my bucket friends a fancy home. And I think it's gonna last a long time. Just can't believe the cage is built so fine. It's not that garbage that you found online. Oh, no, no, no. It's an arthropod. Arthropods give my bucket friends a fancy home. Jaws ain't the kind of place to raise a pits. In fact, it's dumb as hell. 'Cause there's nowhere there to raise them. If you did, and all about science, I don't understand. It's juice's job 5 days a week. Arthropods. And I think it's gonna last a long, long time. Just can't believe this thing is built so fine. It's not that garbage that you found online. Oh, no, no, no. It's an arthropod. Arthropods give my bucket friends a fancy home. And I think it's gonna last a long, long time. Just can't believe this thing is built so fine. It's not that garbage that you found online. Oh, no, no, no. It's an arthropod. Arthropods give my bucket friends a fancy home. And I think it's gonna last a long, long time. And I think it's gonna last a long, long time. And I think it's gonna last a long time. And I think it's gonna last